This is a trade recap for Thursday, March 19th, 2026. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Continuing with phase 2 of one and done. This was number 6. It was number 5. It was number 6 of 10. Again, considering extending it a little bit, just from some of the issues in the prior trading sessions to try and get those sorted out. Kind of just give you the rules for this exercise is take the first trade that triggers, and that is the only one you get, with a size of 2 to 4 contracts. In the event of a red trade, one reset trade is allowed so long as it is a planned trade, not just random. Other than that, yeah, it was kind of again, got a decent gap down this morning. Gapped below the 200 on the daily for both SPY and Qs. So that's an interesting position to be in for the markets, and curious to see how that plays out long term. But it was also one of those things where Pat Mitchell, my coach and mentor, been calling this for, I want to say, almost 6 weeks now. Somewhere between 4 and 6 weeks. And that's kind of one of those things where if you have a high-level coach and mentor, you can really, again, kind of like pick their brain, see their perspective. They'll share their thoughts and stuff like that. And it's, again, a little eerie on how accurate he is in terms of being able to figure out with a high degree of probability where the markets are going to go, both in terms of long term and intraday. So, yeah, I can't, like, if you're new or struggling with this as a day trader, it's like you need a coach, and honestly, you need Pat. So if you're interested in that, head over to tricktrades.com and check out the service. It is an education service, not an alert service, and the quality of the education really speaks for itself, and you'll only be able to experience that on the inside. He does have a YouTube channel as well. He has over 1,700 videos there from the decade he's been in the market. That is the free stuff, though. Again, it's not the keys to the castle. I mean, there's a lot of information you can glean from that, but picking through 1,700 videos, like, best of luck to you. That's a lot of information to digest and to put together. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into the recording from this morning's session. All right. So if you're new here, kind of lay of the land. We only trade SPY and Qs. We don't trade any other tickers. You don't need to. Have SPY up here on the top. Have Qs down here below. This chart's on the left. These are the daily charts. Charts in the middle are 1 minute intraday chart, and I keep my order execution here on the right. These blue levels that you see on the daily chart are plotted by Pat, and he plots them the night before and then refines and tweaks everything the morning of a trade session and develops the trade plan that we all execute about 30 minutes before the market. And then it's on us to basically do our jobs, do what we are taught, listen to the guidance, absorb the lessons he's giving live on screen share every single morning. So this is about 10 seconds before the open. You can see Qs is between these levels below the 200 SMA. SPY is much wider, but also below the 200 SMA. So one thing Pat told us to watch out for was when this originally opened up, chances are, with how this is gapped down, a bunch of stops are going to blow off. So just to be patient and kind of let it sort itself out. So I'll hit play and kind of let you see how this all kind of evolved. It's about to open. And I was watching Qs because of where the levels were and everything. SPY had way more distance and stuff like that. So we opened. As you can see, starts dumping those stops as back all that popping off. So it came right down through the level, a little bit below the risk level. Again, it's going to be that volatility spike. You can now see the elevated volume on both SPY and Qs. Again, wasn't going to take it necessarily on that first candle because of the level of volatility and kind of wanting to see how far this would push down to get those stops. So it's one of those things where if we got lower into that lower level on Qs, again, still had a plan there. So, yep. And one thing again about like gap downs and things like that, gaps generally tend to like to test levels on both sides in a day. So I was kind of curious to see where this was going to go. Back testing the 200 was something that, again, I wouldn't have been surprised if it did it. So just keeping everything kind of prepared, watching. And then, again, starting getting bought up after the stops have been triggered and it sorts itself out. Step forward just a little bit. All right, so it comes up into this level. And currently got calls loaded for Qs. And again, now that's kind of put in a base right there, that low. I kind of want to see it test and hold that is what, again, I was specifically looking for. And given the gap in the volatility potential, I'm going to keep some size super small. So again, I'm going to start in with 1 and just kind of let it, again, see what it's going to do. So basically I was risking off of the low of that first candle when I do enter. Came up to that level, kind of rejected it. So there was an opportunity right there for a quick payout. That's not what I was necessarily looking for. So it's coming down. All right, there's the kind of the confirmation I'm looking for. Just making sure it kind of sorts itself out. Go ahead. I'm going to put 1 in. And then again, risking off that low, even though it's a volatile day, even though the range is fairly wide. Yeah, not really risking a whole ton on that one, which is why. So getting ready to try to sell there, but again, if you have a mismatch in your position versus quantity size on interactive brokers, it again will block your trade or your execution. So again, kind of waiting to ultimately see what it's going to do. Is it going to come up or is it going to come down? It's like just like again for this past week or so and a little bit last week, because again, patience is the biggest thing. Again, just I'm looking to see whether or not it breaks below the low, and so far it's been holding it. Now it kind of came like right into it right there, and it was like, okay, it's like, well, is this it? Is this the moment? And then just stepping forward, and then we got that weird algo pop right there, and I was like, that's interesting. So again, continue to be patient. Get right into where I was going to stop out, but again, just as starts working, get above this level, might see a little bit of squeeze come in. Qs is again playing with the level, spies moving higher, and pull that one off right there for a little green trade. And then just again, as you can see, just kind of plays around with it, and then ultimately really starts squeezing up. Yeah. Again, put more size in because you have that risk tolerance. Could easily, again, just start carving out chunks at a time. Now, again, I'm interested in re-entering if it tests that level and really confirms that strength. So go ahead and close that down there. And yeah, I pull up the entry. Ultimately, it did come down to test that level again. And that's where I entered. And I hit it with 2 on this one because, again, that confirmation of strength came down below the level. put in a base, entered with 1, popped up into the level, paid myself, waited, messed around with the level a little bit, squeezed back above it, sold back off, confirmed strength, entered with 2, and paid myself 2 on that first reaction. So all in all, between the first execution, which was 1 contract, and the second execution, which was 2 contracts. So this was 1, and then this was 2, locking in $84. So it's, again, pretty good for, again, the size. Because one was saying where, again, on average, what should you be looking for per contract when you're just getting in and getting out? Again, $20 per contract is more than adequate. And I did, again, on average, better than that. So all good. Even with the gap down, the volatility, no real issues with the motion, no real issue with the size of the position taken. Just watch the price action and traded it the way, again, I was reading it, which I believe was appropriate. No erroneous ads, not oversizing, good emotional discipline, kind of just level emotions, relaxed, not stressed, not getting antsy or anything like that, or emotional. So all in all, I want to say for today, it was a good day. Pretty solid in terms of just doing it and doing it right. And that's one of the things that Pat was impressing upon us for the lesson for today was how much more complicated people make this and this entire process. And it does not need to be that way. Simplicity is your friend. And if you watch his recap from yesterday, he literally gives out exactly what the strategy is. And I wouldn't be surprised if most people, again, if they watch that end to end, would be like, just BS. It's got to be more complicated than that. When in reality, it isn't. As someone that's in his service, it's one of those things where, yeah, it really is that simple. I mean, I don't know how to reinforce that or kind of piggyback off of what he says. And yeah, it is truly that simple. And it's one of those things where the sooner you accept that, especially if you're a member of the service, the sooner you can kind of progress. But that's, again, something you got to work through. And having a coach and mentor that sometimes needs to, again, he'll try and talk you through it. And sometimes you have to beat you over the head with it because you're being stubborn or you're not listening. And that's, yeah, that is what happens. So, all in all, good day. Another session done. And yeah, coming into the end of the week, we will catch you tomorrow for the next one to see exactly where this all goes and what happens. With that being said, have a good one, and we'll catch you then.